All aboard! Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it's Chicago Junction, the radio program that is about everything that is about railroading, both model and prototype. Now here's our boss from the head of the Windy City Hometown Radio Network, as well as being the chief electrical engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Bri. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Monday, June the 13th. Today the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Yes, it is Brian Valou. I am your announcer, and here is our host, Mr. Jack Red Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Valou. How are you?
We need to have an applause tape.
Yeah. No, well, the people here, we got a peanut gallery. They don't like to clap here. It's too
the cheers from the crowd in Ben-Hur.
Or Spartacus.
Yeah.
Hey, you know that Spartacus is a real historical person?
Yes.
I didn't know that till recently. I thought it was all made up. How many scouts on there? my right hand to God. I didn't know that.
You thought it was Kirk Douglas all this time?
I thought it was a made-up guy. It was for real. They have it classified in the video places with biblical. That's actually pre-biblical, like pre-Christian, of course. But you know. Anywho, we digress already. It's all your fault, Brian. Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Welcome to our another session we have in our monthly get-together, and something we enjoy. And I never cease to amaze at everything I learned from these guys who, they got more knowledge about railroads than Mr. Vanderbilt and John Henry put together. Let me put it to you that way, each one of them. So let's have a little introduction on this. I thought, I talked to Brian yesterday. I was a day behind because I thought it was 2 days away. He said, see you tomorrow. What do you mean? Oh, see, we've been taking care of the grandsons, and the one little guy just finished his preschool last week, so the schedule was different, see? So would you believe this, too? His preschool, they actually had spring break.
Well, see, we knew Doug was going to be here because, like you said, the preschool's over with, so we knew his job's finished.
I didn't get to go to preschool or kindergarten. Anybody like that? Or no?
No, I got to go to kindergarten.
See, that's always.
I was privileged.
I can always fall back on that. Let's go. To my left, you speak of Doug. Doug Kenyuk, how are you today?
Real good. How about you?
You were on assignment last time?
Yes.
Okay. And let's hear a little background about your pedigree in railroading.
Well, I'm official at the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago. I teach computers at Wright College, and a longtime rail fan.
Are they harder to teach than people? Computers, I mean?
Oh, they're easy compared to people.
I just wondered about that. You teach computers, so. And to your left, Mr. Brian Valou.
Yes.
Our announcer, but not only announcer. What is your background in railroading?
Well, in real life, I was a retired sailor, and then I figured out that my retirement pay didn't pay much, so I had to get a real job, and I ended up going to work for the railroad, and I was a conductor and locomotive engineer, and but I always played with trains, and it kept the interest in me, kept me sane.
Okay.
I did O-gauge, garden railways, and then I got into the history of it, belonged to a few historical societies and museums, and I do Operation Lifesaver, a safety program.
Okay, right, Operation. That's what I asked you about Operation Lifesaver. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that? Because the more I hear about it,
What it is it's informing the public, talking about the safety between grade crossing, roads, and rails.
Mhm.
And then talking about the problems of trespassing and such like that.
Now, do they have a website or anything? Or is it
Yes, oli.org.
OL?
www.oli for Operation Lifesaver Inc.
Okay.
.org.
Okay, just, I thought you might, because it's not just, it's a bigger operation, as I understand.
Yes, it got started in 1972 and has grown from there.
Mhm.
It's actually the program is in all 50 states, plus a lot of countries.
OLI.org.
Mm-hmm.
And probably in D.C.
Yes, that's where the main office is
And
right now.
how about the 5 territories? No, I'm not
Yes.
serious.
No, yeah.
Oh.
It's in the territories. Like I said, even Hawaii's got it, but it's in Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Estonia, England, Turkey, Greece, Russia, China, Japan.
OLI.org.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to remember. Oli.org.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure you get it out there, because the more I hear about it, the more important it sounds like a thing that people ought to hear it too, ought to be dealing with. So. And too, you're being a little modest. You said you were a sailor. You retired as a
Chief Gunner's Mate.
petty officer.
Chief Petty Officer.
Yeah, and that's it, like a master sergeant or something almost.
Gunny Sergeant.
Okay. Still sergeant though, but he was a sergeant too. This guy.
That was with the police department.
Yeah. I hate people that compare police to military because Anyway, and I didn't mean to do that.
And on my left is Dave DeRuska, who actually was one of my instructors when I came to Metro.
Did you know him?
In real life, I was a hippie. Then I became a locomotive engineer.
And
I worked for various railroads for 30 years and retired here coming up on 4 years in January.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Best job I ever had, retirement.
Oh yeah, what's there not to like, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny though, but it sounds like Brian, you're busier now than ever. Am I right? No?
Yeah, well, it keeps me from really going than being not busy.
Remember, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. I just made that one up now, folks. So anyway, but you're also Dave Darushka.
Darushka.
You're also a graduate of IIT.
Yeah, I didn't graduate from IIT. I dropped out. I'm a graduate of the University of Illinois.
A dropout.
I went back part-time.
Transfer student.
And finished up my undergraduate degree in design. Mm-hmm. And actually I worked at the Northwestern when I finished up my undergrad and decided that I didn't want to railroad anymore and left the railroad and worked in the design field, computer graphics, for a number of years. Worked for the public access TV station in Chicago.
Oh, Channel 19?
Yeah, one of them.
Down on, was it Monroe or Van Buren and Halstead?
Green Street.
Oh, yeah,
just west of Halstead, one block. Still there, as far as I know.
Halstead's the most Irish street in the city. It's got emerald on one side and green on the other.
You see, he actually is speaking the truth.
So after
doesn't make it any funnier.
After the work in the design world dried up, I decided to go back and try my hand at railroading again, and I went back and worked freight for a while and landed at Metra, my dream job. And worked there on the electric district. I worked as a locomotive engineer. I also was in management for a short time and ran the training program for locomotive engineers. And
is that when you met Brian?
Huh?
That when you met Brian?
That's when I met Brian.
Yeah.
But he was previously certified, so I didn't have to teach him too much.
No. Tough taskmaster, was he now? Like a Marine DI or something?
No, not me.
No.
No, he didn't have the campaign hat.
Jack Webb,
So now I split my time between doing our Facebook page. I also write a blog and called Player with Railroads. And lately I've been helping my wife move into her new studio.
Studio?
Yeah, art studio.
Oh, your wife's an artiste?
Yeah, she's an artiste.
I mean, painting, sculpt, what's art?
All kinds of stuff. She does collage and assemblage.
She make any money?
She does all the ages. No, she spends money on it, but she doesn't make any money.
Starving artist, right?
Yeah, right. No, she's not starving, believe me.
No, I mean, but if it wasn't for other,
if it wasn't for my pension,
yeah,
we'd be starving.
You've got the pension. She's got the penchant.
She gets the pension too, believe it or not.
The pension, does she? Oh, good.
Yeah, railroad retirement, spousal pension.
Oh,
it's a great deal.
Yeah, it's better than the Social Security, right?
Yes, it is. Much better.
So anyway, now let me digress still. And to your left and to my right is a guy I known for some time, and we didn't know we had so many things in common. Kevin Barry.
Good evening, sir.
And what is your background for life and railroad?
I'm a retired sergeant from the Chicago Police Department, lifelong Lionel train operator and collector, and member of the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club. And depending on who I'm talking to and what pearl of wisdom has dropped out of my mouth, I'm either a rail fan, a rivet counter, or a foamer. If I really aggravate somebody on a technical point, then I'm a rivet counter. And if it's the guy works for the railroad and he's not happy about being around anybody who is into model railroads and compares pieces of equipment, then I'm a foamer.
Former. Farmer or former?
Foam. As foaming at the mouth.
Oh, okay.
Foamer.
Okay. What's wrong with me? Foamer. You're a former police sergeant.
No, I'm a retired police sergeant. I'm not a former. I'm not an ex.
Oh,
I am honorably retired. Thank you very much. Just like Brian is a retired member of the United States Navy.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for your service.
In the Navy.
And I'm not kidding though. Yeah.
Oh, we'll sail the seven seas.
Was that Monty Python?
No.
Which
No,
one
it was
that?
the Village People.
Oh, that's right.
It was after your time.
Yeah, Village People. YMCA. What is the other one?
In the Navy.
In the Navy. Yeah, a few.
Navy.
YMCA. Anyway, yeah.
Hey, they did a real nice video on the Muppet Show.
They did?
Yeah, they did Pigs as Vikings. They were singing it.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, yeah, that was a show.
At least it wasn't Lance Trueheart as the captain of the spaceship.
Everybody watched the Muppet Show. I mean, everybody you talked to, no matter what. It was.
It was actually a very good variety show.
It was, yeah.
I mean, the stars that have been on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's off the air. It was good.
How long ago was that now? That's 40 years. Easy.
70s? 70s?
Yeah, there were 5 seasons, and they haven't released the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that had Johnny Cash and Crystal Gale.
Uh-huh. Well, what I like is how they would show back in the wings everything was going on backstage, too, with the two old crabby old guys sitting up. And I've become one of them, by the way, now.
Waldorf and Astoria.
Okay. Where do we start today? I know Kevin mentioned something both on to me in person and on the what do they call email?
Email.
About Pullman?
Yeah, it's the successor to Clay Tablets. I got a phone call Sunday afternoon about 2:30 as I was driving back from Nashville. The National Park Service on Father's Day is going to open the Pullman Clock Tower to the public for the very first time. The Pullman Clock Tower is the largest of the remaining structures from the Pullman Palace Car Company and Historic Pullman, and it is located on 111th Street, about 100 yards east of Cottage Grove. And the first floor is going to be open. There'll be several displays in there. There'll be a gentleman who worked for Pullman with a display of memorabilia from his time working at Pullman. I've been asked to run some electric trains that exemplify Pullman car products. The Innovation Center will be open. The Visitor Center at 11141 South Cottage Grove will be open, and they will also have a car show. And I know one of the cars that's going to be out there will be a 1962 Corvair Greenbrier 9-passenger van.
Is that yours?
No, it belongs to somebody I know through scouting. But it's a very nice vehicle. Someone sent me a YouTube clip on it. And, it's just a really nice piece of equipment. But and there's going to be a young lady there, and I don't remember her name. I failed to write it down. She is a junior park ranger, and when someone under 17 goes to a national park, they give them a small plastic shield as a junior park ranger with the name of the park on it, and she has a collection of over 200 of these junior ranger badges, and she'll have them there, and she will be answering questions.
And she's 80 years old.
No, I think they said she's 14.
14. But she's sure
I'm trying to figure out how somebody gets that many badges.
Apparently, her family likes to travel to the national parks.
Okay, that's how you get them.
Does that count Jellystone Park?
No, that's not part of the national park system, John.
Shoot. Check. All right. Good.
Red.
So that's Father's Day Sunday.
Father's Day Sunday from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, and I do not believe there is any fee attached to it because it's one of the national parks.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's hope not.
If it is, the fees aren't that bad
I'm
at the
sure.
national parks.
I don't mind throwing in a little money here and again to you, as long as it's, as long as your tax money goes for good things like, checking on the effects of cow flatulence and global warming, things like that.
On a slightly higher plane, there is a Nashville, Chancellorsville, and St. Louis engine, the number 576. It's a Dixie class. It's a 484 wheel configuration, Class J3, affectionately known as a Yellow Jacket, down in Centennial Park in Nashville. And the Nashville Steam Preservation Society is currently attempting to raise $3 million to have the train fully restored to operational status, and it will be on excursion service in Nashville.
I have a question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
That clock tower.
Identify yourself, questioner.
John
The
Navita.
voice.
John Navita. Okay, that clock tower at Pullman down there, didn't they have a major fire in that building?
There was a fire in the building. Fortunately, the clock tower itself was didn't sustain any major damage. It's a beautiful clock tower. If you were to Google Pullman clock tower, there's a bunch of pictures. I mean, it's really a beautiful piece. I think the face is like 12 foot across.
Yeah, I went through a tour of that facilities out there. Well, this is going quite a few years ago. Ken Little, who happens to be one of the members of Meet the Chicago Historians on here on this Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, he used to conduct tours, and every so often we would go to different locations. And I remember going out to the Pullman area and going through the facilities out there, and I know that clock tower very well. And then I thought a couple of years later they had a major fire out there in that complex.
Actually, it was an intentionally set fire. They did arrest the guy that did it, but the clock tower, the building immediately north of the clock tower does not have a roof as a result of the fire, but the clock tower itself sustained fortunately very little damage.
Actually, it's the one to the south that doesn't have the roof. The one to the north still has a roof, and they do use that for meetings and stuff. So I've been in there for Labor Day events.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's possible I've got my directions spun.
And the restoration of the clock tower was paid for by the state of Illinois. After the fire, there was a lot of debate over whether they were going to demolish the building or save it, and the state ponied up the money and they restored the building. The interior of the building is pretty much just blank walls. They didn't restore the interior, but the exterior is restored to its original condition.
Okay.
Speaking
Anyhow,
of
it's something to do between church and barbecue on Father's Day.
Yes.
the Pullman National Park Service is currently holding a vote for your favorite national park. Well, in the case of Pullman, it's a National Historic landmark. And depending on the number of votes these facilities get, there will be money coming from the Park Service for the sites themselves. And if Pullman wins, is one of the 6 winners, they're going to use the money for restoring the interior. The Park Service eventually wants to turn it into a full-blown museum. And so if you want to go online to the National Park Service and vote for Pullman, please do. I think the voting goes on till July the 4th.
Do you have the?
No, I don't.
It'll be easy to find, I'm sure.
Yeah, just type in National Park Service.
.gov
NPS.gov.
Yeah, hey, sounds good. NPS. Let's try that right now. Oh well, we got another facility. Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. There's probably so little publicity about something like that, though. Even more so.
So they just got to go ahead on this either late Saturday night or first thing Sunday morning. It's been in the offing, but they finally got to go on it on Sunday.
Sorry, I voted for Steamtown.
I voted for Jellystone Park.
You're forgiven, Uncle Brian.
Much like Chicago, you can vote often on this. So
Early and often.
Early and often. You don't have to vote for just one thing one time. True democracy.
Ghost voter town, huh?
Having been to both facilities, I can see where you would be torn on where you would cast your vote.
Oh, by the way, just a slight correction. It's not Chancellorsville. It's Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. I get my southern cities mixed
Chattanooga
up.
Choo-choo.
But other than that, thanks for the good report on that.
Wasn't it? Yes. I thought it was excellent. Who's next? Who's up?
Get a gold star for that.
You still have, David, do you still have the floor?
No. Move on.
Yes. Doug.
Well, I have some odds and ends.
Let's hear them.
CTA has got a preservation program.
Yay.
Finally. They got 2 4000 series cars, 8 2400 series cars, a couple of buses. Apparently, they got a little jealous of what New York was doing and decided they got to jump in too. This is after years of every time something was beyond a certain age, they got rid of it, causing all the museums to scramble to get a couple of them to preserve. So, better late than never, I guess. And our musical interlude is now over.
Very good.
So that's the Heritage Fleet. Right now it's small. It's probably kept up in Skokie.
Yeah.
They're going to run it for special occasions, I guess. That's good news in that area, finally. DuPage County. I guess the CN has got a little upset about the Prairie Path people because they're planning to put in a bypass on the Prairie Path of the CN tracks.
CN is
Canadian National.
Okay, yeah.
The old EJ&E route, where it cuts across over by Inola Road. So the county's looking to spend a couple $1 million to reroute the Prairie Path so it go over the tracks or under the tracks or around it, but not what it currently does. Because apparently the bike trail people were complaining about too many standing trains.
And the alderman up on the north side wants the 606 trail extended east to the lakefront.
Oh, I'm going to get to that. There's a whole
Yeah.
mess in there. There are a whole bunch of things going on there. Oh, let's talk about that. That area is a PMD, the area just east of where the 606 ends. Okay? PMD is Protected Manufacturing District, set up by Daley. It was meant to keep the small manufacturing along the Clybourne corridor, Clybourne to the river. That's worked real well. Zinc Company went out of business. There's a Whole Foods there today, and Finkel Steel just moved to the south.
Yeah, they took over the old Verson
Yeah.
plant.
So anyway, there's a scrapper called General Iron there that stopped rail service 2 years ago. Finally called up the Chicago terminal and said, "Oh, can you come? We want cars." Well, in the interim 2 years, somebody went and ripped all the wires out of the bridge, so the bridge no longer works.
That's the swing bridge over
That's
there.
the swing
Come on,
bridge,
this-
yeah.
Hey, this is the city that works. What's wrong with you?
So, and then their only other customer on that side of the river for Chicago Terminal was Big Bay Lumber, who went closed down 3 years ago, and they're on Goose Island. So, technically, right now, Chicago Terminal has one customer who receives 2 cars a year. And that's Sippy Metals. There's no other service that's receiving anything now.
That's in the PMD.
Yep, that's in the PMD.
I'll give you odds that the wires that got pulled out wound up at the scrap yard immediately south of the swing bridge.
General Iron.
No. It's a different company owns that yard. That used to belong to Sims.
Okay, but yeah, there is another one there. So that's the story there. It's a long, convoluted history. That was the old Milwaukee Road Service. Then it became sued, and CP decided to sell it to Chicago Terminal or lease it to them. So now the 606, in order to get to Clybourne Avenue, because eventually they want to go to the lake, but they'll have to tear a few buildings down, which is going to go real well with the people there. They have to cross UP North, which means they're going to have to build a bridge or a tunnel around the tracks. The right-of-way is there. I mean, they'll have to restore the bridge and stuff.
They can just put the interlocking back in at Clybourne and.
There you go.
Chicago Terminal Railroad has got a really good-looking logo.
Yep.
You know, can't say much for the paint job, but the logo's killer.
Yes, it is. So that's what's going on there on that one. As long as you brought up the thing.
The thing.
606.
606, yeah, because all that's interrelated on that thing. But when Chicago Terminal finally gave up the track on Kingsbury from North Avenue to Division, City of Chicago within 30 days went in and tore the whole street out and repaved it, all because the people were bumping over the tracks getting to Whole Foods.
I thought it was because the dancers were breaking too many heels on their high heels
Oh, yeah.
when they left the gentleman's club.
That's across the street from the Whole Foods.
Ain't too many gentlemen around there, though. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, let me get to it here. Let's see. It's the Aurora, City of Aurora wants to put in a transportation center. About where the old roundhouse, where the roundhouse and the station is now, they want to turn that into a full-blown, sort of like what Schaumburg put in.
Which
They're
is
willing
like
to
what?
spend about $14 million to do it.
What does that mean, a transportation center?
Bus, train.
Intermodal.
Yeah.
Aha!
Between different modes of transportation.
So they're willing to spend the money to do that.
If they can get the state to ante it up.
Yep, that's the thing here. Now, here's one in the news that our Brian and Dave could almost relate to. 3 Metro workers were fired for playing with their cell phones. So what's the story there, guys?
Well, I know the name of one of the engineers, which I won't reveal, but he was a flagrant violator of using a cell phone while operating a train. And he had been reported numerous times by fellow crew members. And Metro finally decided to catch him, and they put a baby cam inside the housing for the PTC and gave him the same equipment over a series of consecutive days and recorded him each day using his cell phone. And they were prepared to have an investigation, and he marked off sick.
He resigned?
No, he didn't resign. He marked off sick. Got a doctor's note, some kind of problem he had, and but I think they went ahead and dismissed him anyways. Now, I have no idea who the second engineer was, nor the circumstances surrounding it. The conductor or collector trainee, I guess he was in training at the time. You know, I've seen the train crews chitty-chatting on their cell phones in the vestibule and getting off the train, opening and closing doors while they're on the phone, which is a bozo no-no. They're supposed to be paying attention to their job, so I'm assuming that that was the situation here. You know, flagrant violation for flagrant use of the phone. Oh, I guess we're coming up on break, aren't we?
Yeah, it looks like break time from here. Is it break time, John?
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go
Yes?
ahead.
Go ahead, proceed. Oh. Okay, go ahead, David.
You got the highball.
We still supposed to go?
No, we're on break.
We're on break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a station identification.
You are listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVito Broadcast Center on Monday, June the 13th, the year 2016. And you are tuned to Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois. And now, back to Chicago Junction and our panel.
So, for people who don't know the story behind the ban on electronic devices at the railroad, this all started with the crash in Chatsworth, California, where the engineer of a suburban train was on a texting. From what I understand, he was texting on his phone, missed a stop signal, and slammed headfirst into a freight train, Union Pacific freight train, killing himself and a number of passengers. At that point, the FRA came out with an emergency order regarding the use of electronic devices, and since has strengthened that ban. Of course, if you're operating a train, you must have your cell phone turned off and stowed in your grip or your bag. You can't be using it when the train is moving. They're getting ready to start banning Fitbit watches and other electronic devices. And I saw something very funny that a couple railroads were giving those out as safety awards. So everybody who now gets a safety award Fitbit watch can't use it. But they're very strict about this rule, and if you are caught, of course, you will be disciplined by the railroad, more than likely fired, and decertified, so you cannot work again. But you also could be liable for federal charges, including a fine, a very hefty fine, and imprisonment. So they're very serious about this, and I don't know if they've ever gone as far as to send anybody to prison for this. Although the one person that I know certainly should go to prison for a number of things, not just talking on his cell phone.
Well, that's true. It dawned on me who it was.
Yeah, right.
But then you're looking at the other side. Things I think are becoming the union, and actually really safety personnel should really be starting to speak out. I mean, these single person crews now, it's getting dangerous. I mean, they're doubling the size of freight trains. There was a nice picture in Railfan magazine. A 240-car train trying to go around a corner, and 11 cars just fell over like on a Lionel train set.
String line.
And they're they're pushing to have just a single engineer. I mean, if you're going for safety is paramount, how can you keep an eye on your train on both sides going around curves? Answer the radio when you're not supposed to while operating a train, because that's a rule too.
Right.
Engineer cannot talk on the radio while operating. And
well, my understanding is the FRA is going to come out with a ruling that there must be two-man crews for freight, and the railroads are not happy about this at all.
Well, I know because CSX they're cheap.
Well, they all are.
Now you say 11 cars?
Yeah, 11 freight cars.
What was that? And was it excessive speed or?
No, they were going. It was 10 mile an hour.
Yeah.
But you got a 240-car train,
Mm-hmm.
and they were coming around. They were doing a nice little sharp curve.
Now, normally they'll go around the curve, but if the forces are right, instead of going around the curve, the
Go
cars
straight?
will just be pulled over.
Yeah, it's called,
They're bigger than that, though, right?
the way they set up trains, it depends where you have your empties and your loads. Obviously, the empty cars are lighter, the loads are heavier, and if the train is improperly set up, it's easy to do what they call string lining. In other words, the weight on the rear of the train is pulling on these cars, and basically the empties just pop off the tracks.
Oh, I see. It can't keep them right, so to speak.
Right.
Okay.
You know, this is some of the problems that we're going to have to address, because all of a sudden you got a train that's extra long. How many grade crossings are you going to block?
Mm-hmm.
And for how long?
Yeah, Kevin and I talked about this on the way over. You know, their idea of having utility men in vehicles
Yeah.
to follow the train.
Oh, Lord.
How many roads are near tracks?
Right.
In a lot of places.
Right.
The CSX, not C it, it's CSX, but it's BNOCT, the Baltimore, Ohio, Chicago Terminal tracks.
CSX.
Yeah, that run along Rockwell.
Yeah.
Okay. A friend of mine, who later retired as a lieutenant, he's a chief up in one of the suburbs, was sent by the police department down to Springfield to get certified to instruct on hazmat, and he sat at 111th Street and counted 51 tank cars carrying hazmat, and he reported it, and he was told, oh, well, that's a yard track, the regular rules don't apply. Now that's also the set of tracks that they've got the double sets of arms that come down that you're physically not supposed to be able to go around the gates.
Yeah, it's called four quadrant crossing.
Yep. Trouble is, the trains that are on that track are so long that they literally can reach from 127th Street in Blue Island by Veterans Park all the way past 95th Street, which isolates all of Chicago west of the tracks.
Well, I'll disagree with you on that. The trains are not that long. At the worst, if it's in Blue Island, it's probably blocking 115th and possibly 111th. And that's a pretty long train. The average size of trains is anywhere between 100 and 150 cars.
A train that long could easily block 119, 115, 111, and 103rd.
Yeah. If the head end's sitting at 115th Street or 119th Street, yeah.
And it's a running battle between CSX and the city because of the length of the trains.
Well, they're having lots of problems on the former Grand Trunk line. With
that's
trains,
the one on Sacramento.
right? With the CSX, and the CN used to do the same thing. They park trains. You got a long stretch between crossings there, and between what would it be 103rd and 111th, and you can park a pretty good sized train in there. So what they'll do is crews running out of time on their hours of service, they'll just stop the train, park it there, and wait till they get another crew to recrew it and bring it in. Well, they're not in any hurry to get another crew to bring it in because it's happy where it's sitting. It's not. All it's doing is sitting there and idling and bothering everybody that lives over there.
I've seen trains on the GTW tracks there where they've actually broken the train just enough to clear the signal.
They have to do that. That's a law.
That's a
If
law.
that train going to sit there
I've
for any long,
also seen them not do it.
right? Because they think they're going to move the train very soon. The situation would be if a crew knows that they're going to go dead on their hours of service, and it's what's called a crew dies on their hours of service, 12 hours maximum, continuous time. If they know they're going to die and they let the dispatcher know that, the dispatcher's going to instruct them where to put their train, to hold it. And in a situation where they're going to be blocking crossings, they are obligated to
Break it.
even if it goes beyond their hours of service. If they're 12 hours, they can't say, oh gosh, you know what? My 12 hours is up. I'm not going to do anything about this. I'm just going to sit here and wait till they bring another crew out here to get me off of here. But they are required to break the crossing. And the thing is, it's a big pain in the keister for the crews to break the train and then have to put it together later on, which is probably the reason. If they don't think they're going to sit there for an extended period, which is what, 10 minutes by law, they can have a crossing.
10, 15 minutes, depending upon the area.
Yeah.
10 in Chicago.
Now I know the city is and the neighborhood. I know I live in Morgan Park, and our alderman is part of the effort to try to get CSX to stop doing this. They had agreed to a number of restrictions when they took over the ownership of the Grand Trunk CN line including the promise that they wouldn't be blocking crossings, et cetera, et cetera. And in turn, they immediately went around and broke their promise, and they're playing, deaf ear to the city. We don't know anything about this.
Just like politicians?
Yeah. So it's gone all the way to Springfield. It's gone all the way to Washington. They've been in touch with the FRA. They've been in touch with the Interstate Commerce Commission. And it's an ongoing saga.
Okay, now just playing devil's advocate, FRA is the Federal
Railroad Administration.
Now, they probably have tons of laws and all kinds of regulations that you wouldn't even dream of. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I found out something recently. Congress passes laws, they're signed by the president, or, if it's a veto or overridden, they become law. But those regulations that are put in place to help administer the law, they have the same effect and force as the law does. You would think it wouldn't, but it does.
Yeah, the FRA has the right to do what they call rulemaking.
Mm-hmm.
And those rules, once they're agreed upon, they go into effect. It doesn't require the vote of Congress or anything.
No, but it's all set up by that. But I'm saying it's like kind of an adjunct to the law, and it has the same force.
I think, what a lot of people don't realize is that beyond, if a train's going south on either of those two tracks, the westernmost track and then the one that's parallel to Western Avenue, easternmost track, both of those tracks lead into yards through interlockings, and those are very busy pinch points with a lot of trains. You have a third track, the Harbor, Indiana Harbor Belt tracks further west that feed into the Harbor Yard, but all these things meet in one location, Blue Island Junction. And when trains enter a yard, there's nobody standing there waiting to throw the switches to get the train in a hurry. Nope, the train has to stop, a crew member has to get off, line the switches, and the train pulls in. And depending on how many switches that train has to line, they have to stop each time prior to lining the switch, get off, line the switch. So that takes time. And I've worked in and out of what they call bar yard, which is the CSX yard. And I've gone across crossings with people shaking their fists at me and saying nasty things. I can read their lips.
And giving you the one finger
Yeah,
salute.
the one finger salute. I actually had somebody wave a gun at me once.
So you're number one, right?
So it's unfortunately Chicago. The south side of Chicago is a junction, a huge railroad junction. All the railroads from the east meet on the south side of Chicago, and then disperse through the various lines that pass through the city.
And the thing is, that's where also the lines from the west meet.
Yeah, I remember our history book showed this all the crisscross and everything crisscrossed right here, south of Lake Michigan, and then west of Lake Michigan.
So I've been caught by trains too. It happens, It's part of life. Mm-hmm. And the most frustrating thing is to watch the gates go up on one crossing, drive a little further, and watch the gates come down on the next crossing.
There is a spot on Broadway in Blue Island. It's about 128th Street. Maybe a city block west of Old Western Boulevard, where you can clear the gates and cross 3 or 4 sets of tracks and then get caught by another set of gates that the Iowa Interstate operates on. And that particular crossing is a big rail fan favorite because of the number of trains that go through it. And then immediately south of there's a set of tracks that run south of the junkyard that cross those tracks. So you always have a train somewhere waiting to get clearance to cross another set of tracks.
Where's this Blue Island, you said?
Yeah.
Where? Around where?
It's Broadway, and it's about a block west of Old Western Avenue, which would put it about a block and a half or 2 blocks west of Western Boulevard. But Western Boulevard is still elevated going over the river at that point.
I know the daughter and son-in-law are always looking for a place to let the boys go see trains,
Well, I can give you an excellent website. Bill Gustafson, who did the IHB book and a number of other rail fans, runs a website called Chicagoland Rail Junctions.
That's it?
Yep, It's at dhke.com/CRJ.
DH.
ke.com/CRJ.
CRJ.
And he has all the junctions in the area, northwest Indiana,
very good.
where you can go, where you can park, where you can watch.
Wow.
We were out at Dalton last weekend, and our favorite game out there is count how many people go around the gates before the train makes it to the crossing.
How's the gang out there?
No problem. We park in the police parking lot.
The Dalton gang?
Yeah, they made peace with the Jameses.
Anyway, back to regular trades off the good stuff.
Yeah, well, we got, this weekend, we got the Franklin Park Fest, which started today, actually. And the Railroad Day portion of it will be Saturday. And all the local railroads will be bringing equipment out there for the people to look at and walk through.
Yeah.
And Metra actually bought in a surprise locomotive, nickel plate 765, which was a Berkshire-type steam locomotive.
Saturday's railroad?
And it'll be there Saturday at in Franklin Park, and then on Sunday it'll be pulling an excursion on the old Milwaukee line, going to Janesville, Wisconsin, and return.
Okay.
20-car train, not restricted in speed.
And the cost for a ticket is, if you can get one.
Well, if you can get one, it's $119 for coach. Deluxe coach is $149. If you want to go first class, that's $249. And if you want to go super first class, that means you get a seat in the full-length dome car. That's $349.
Now, for coach is what?
$119.
How about an assistant coach? I know. If you folks could see the faces here.
Could you please get cereal?
And the train is called the Varsity.
Yes. Now, if you cannot get tickets for Sunday, you can still get tickets for the end of June. On the 25th and 26th, they're going to be running to Galesburg for their railroad days.
Oh, right.
Out of Union Station and making one stop in Naperville. Tickets are a little bit higher.
Okay.
And but yeah, you go to the website of the Fort Wayne Historical Society, and you can purchase that's where you can purchase your tickets. And I know they're going to be selling tickets at Franklin Park.
We've had people on or talked to from both Galesburg and Franklin Park. We had the mayor. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Last year.
Was it last year? Yeah. It was very good. I think he's a very good guy. He was such a regular, just sat here with us, and I was expecting to have a detail of bringing him in, police. He's all well over by himself. And I can't think of his name offhand.
The trip to Galesburg is a fun ride.
Yeah.
We did it. Unfortunately, we did it the year they had equipment problems. But it's a great ride. And if you've never traveled behind a steam train, it's definitely something that belongs on your bucket list.
Yeah.
Nothing like the smell of bituminous in the morning.
And they usually do have a car, a baggage car, with a safety rail and the door open, and they make you put on safety glasses, and you can stick your head out the open door, and you too can know how your puppy feels with its head hanging out the car window.
They get all kinds of bad infections and cold from that, don't they?
That's why you wear safety glasses.
No, I'm talking about dogs. I never saw a dog with safety glasses.
I don't believe they're going to have a baggage car on it like that, but there is going to be a concession car on there.
Are carrots really good for your eyes? Does anyone know? Me well all night work.
Ever seen a rabbit with glasses?
Bunny rabbit, the only one.
Let's talk about these Railway Express cars that are sitting here on the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I asked Brian if he would be kind enough to lend me a Railroad Express car or two for the event at Pullman on Father's Day. And because he is a multi-scale railroad fan, he was kind enough to lend me an O-gauge Railway Express boxcar and a G-gauge flat car with two short Railroad Express agency trailers, covered trailers on it. And
Yeah, they're from the 20s and 30s.
long before people thought of the United Parcel Service, probably before the United Parcel Service ever existed, Railway Express Agency was how things were moved around the country via the railroad, because it was a whole lot cheaper to move them by rail than hire teamsters to load them in a wagon and drag them from coast to coast.
Also known as less than carload freight, LCL.
And
Now, REA, they were in business up till not that many years ago. Is that correct or no?
I think they went out of business about 25 years ago,
Yeah.
Brian.
I believe in the 80s they finally went out.
That's recent to me, you know.
If
Yeah.
if by chance you go to Galesburg for train days, there is an old Swift packing house there that has been converted to a restaurant.
Yeah, you get to eat in the freezer.
You get to eat in the freezer, and they have an REA station baggage car. And it sits about 4 foot up from the ground on these monstrous hard, it's a wood spoked wheel with the hard rubber tire, and they have converted it into their salad bar, and there's big crocks of lettuce and tomato and all the stuff that goes into making a salad. You know, besides some really great food, as long as the fact that the rails for moving the quarters of beef around the packing house are still in place.
Well, the particular car, flat car that you got there, was an actual service. It came from blueprints of the piggyback trailers designed by the Ingalls system. Ran on the North Shore and the South Shore.
Yeah, the North Shore was a pioneer of trailer on flat car.
The more modern design. Because piggyback actually went back to the 1830s.
Really?
Yeah, they started in England. They were putting carriages on flat cars.
Huh.
And then to get the wagons to market from Long Island, they started putting the buckboards on the flat cars to take them into the city, to Manhattan, and put it on the river docks.
Usually, if you find something that thinks a recent innovation, there's somewhere back in the line was tried or was thought of at least.
Yeah, but that particular flat car design and trailers were started with the Ingalls system and did spread.
There's a little tiny decal right above the foot rung on this flat car that says built by Magor Car Corporation, Magor, New York, New York. This is a really well-crafted model. All the appropriate markings and stencils are on it, and I'm greatly in Brian's debt for loaning it to me so that I can display it out at the Pullman Clock Tower.
Very good.
And
And that's
I-
on
and-
June 19th, Father's Day, from what time again?
9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon.
9 to 2.
And I promised Brian that if anything happened to it after he got through pounding me into the ground, I would find a replacement.
Okay, we have witnesses now. You've said this in front of witnesses.
Now, what is unique here is the fact the company that made it was Aristocraft. They had just started out, and if you look at the box, they were calling their trains the Railway Express Agency. And then they had to change it to Aristocraft. But Polk's Hobby was making these. This is the beginning.
Was it a Aristocraft or Aristo that just closed their doors?
Aristocraft. Polk's. Actually, Polk's Hobbies itself.
It's a
Yeah,
shame. They made
yeah.
some really nice little figures.
And they formed a partnership now with Crest Power Packs and such. They make the remote control system for running the trains. The train engineer system.
It's a beautiful model. If I did G gauge, I would definitely want one in my collection. If I went into G gauge, I would be living in the garage because I don't think my wife is that tolerant.
That happens that way, doesn't it? Seems as time goes on. You know?
There's something to be said about Ed and Scale because of that.
Crafted in China.
How about Japan?
No, this is made in China.
Well,
That.
yeah, really? I never
Your early brass locomotives were Japan.
Yeah.
I didn't have much yen for those myself.
The reason that some of the Lionel cars are being made in the United States again is that a couple of the cars that were supposed to get built never did because the company that got the contract either folded or reneged on Lionel. They came out with a flat car with an airplane on it called Santa's Plain Deer, and the company only ran a portion of the order and then folded. And I had the devil's own time getting that car. It took me almost 5 months to get the car.
Oh man, how do you find something like that? I mean, you just
You call your favorite hobby shop and you beg. And then you go to Classic Toy Trains and you start calling every hobby shop that's listed from coast to coast until you find it.
the internet help any or no?
I'm not real happy with the internet because I like to do business with people I know.
Not even so. Finding something though. I mean, before we get to the very end, is anybody anything right now pressing or anything else important or no?
No.
No. Okay, John. Oh, John DeVita.
Go ahead,
John.
Jack. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen. This is off subject a little bit, but I want you to talk about that. Was it called a rally or what?
Oh, the 511 Club and the Fireboats of Illinois are going to be sponsoring the 22nd annual Firematic swap meet at the Chicago Fire Academy on Saturday, June the 18th, from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And what else is on? Is there a big parade or something? Or
Okay, they have a parade. Well, first of all, they have the bell ringing ceremonies, which starts at 9 o'clock, and then they have a parade of all the antique and fire engines and other apparatus that starts at 9:30. It starts on the Taylor Street and Clinton, and it goes around the Fire Academy and then back to Taylor Street again, and that starts at 9:30. It's all kinds of old fire apparatus, and then they have demonstrations on Taylor Street all day long. And the Chicago Fire Department will have their special equipment on display also.
okay, now that's over on what, DeKoven?
That's the Fire Academy is located on at 558 DeKoven Street, which is the southeast corner of Jefferson and Taylor.
Is that true that was the site of O'Leary's?
That's right.
O'Leary's.
That's where the Great Chicago Fire started, and also at the Fire Academy, the Quinn Fire Academy, they do a lot of filming for the award-winning program that's on Channel 5 every Tuesday night, the Chicago Fire.
Okay. And one more thing I was going to say, and I can't remember it now. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was going to say, we should bow our heads silently. Well, we lost the passing of a great country singer who happened to be a really big railroad enthusiast, Merle Haggard. Passed away the last month.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. Okay, yes, that's true. It wasn't
I mean, especially you got the album called My Love Affair with Trains.
Well,
Just a little bit.
And anybody who is interested in fire department stuff, they sell all kinds of fire memorabilia, clothing, anything to do with the fire service, radios and lights and sirens and T-shirts and all kinds of stuff that relates to the fire department is on sale at this event. And once again, it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they give out awards. There is hot dogs and chips and pop and all that, all on sale.
And on that happy note, I want to say this is Jack Ryan on behalf of Kevin Berry, David Darushka, Brian Valou, Mr. Brian, and Doug Kenyuk from Academia. Kenyuk?
Yep.
I said it right.
Yep.
Saying, wishing everyone happy rails to you.
All aboard! Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Join us again next time when we take our railroads of the imagination on our continuing journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Radio Network and can be heard over this station as well as the WindyCityHometown.com, where recordings of all our shows may be heard. Once again, all aboard! This is your announcer, Brian Valou, saying thank you for listening. Oh yeah, the conductor's portrayed by Charlie Jones, a struggling young actor in need of work. Good evening to all.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Monday, June 13th, the year 2013. Chicago Junction was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVita, and our audio engineer is James Rohde. A special thank goes out to Kevin Zeflik of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikanda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Thursday, June the 9th, the year 2016. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, a Ridgewood Community High School radio station.